Hey, how you doing? Aaron Dade here. I'm normally here with my wife, Mary Dade. We are Kingdom Blueprint, and we are life coaches, marriage coaches, and we also involve ourselves in mentorship, so forth and so on. And so we basically coach people through different versions and different parts of their lives. And today, in particular, I'm going to talk about emotional abuse. And I am the strategic half of Kingdom Blueprint. I give you different strategies to deal with different things that are going on, whether it be in your life or in your marriage, or if you're looking at marriage restoration. No matter what the situation is, I am the one that delivers a lot of the strategy when you're talking about Kingdom Blueprint and what to do and how to do it. So I talk a lot about boundaries, I talk a lot about communication, and I talk a lot about being a good person in general. Just making sure that you're treating people like you would like to be treated and you're not trying to be somebody different than you are. However, today we're talking about emotional abuse. And if you want to hear anything about our testimony or about Kingdom Blueprint itself, you can look us up on YouTube or you can look us up here on our homepage on our website. So, emotional abuse. In particular, today we're going to talk about stonewalling. So, anybody that engages in any type of emotional abuse, a lot of times, is about emotional availability. For whatever reason they may think of, they don't want to be emotionally available about a specific subject or multiple different subjects. You'll find, especially in relationships or in a marriage in particular, in any type of relationship, you're going to find some people just don't want to talk about certain things. And so, what stonewalling is when somebody uses communication as a weapon or they use it as a consequence. So, if we are getting along and communication is flowing, then I will reward you with the ability to communicate with you back and forth and talk evenly about anything that you decide, except for if you step on my toes and say something I don't want to hear. So then you get stonewalled. So stonewalling is when you basically take away that ability to communicate with them and use with another person. So for instance, in my relationship, obviously I'm the husband, and if my wife came to me and wanted to talk to me about something uncomfortable, then I would stonewall her. So I would say, oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about that issue. And so then you don't have the right to communicate with me at all. I would walk away from her. I would hide from her. I would do anything that I could to remove the ability to communicate with her. It's not a boundary. Some people may confuse that it's a boundary. It's not a boundary whatsoever. It's using communication as a reward system. It's saying you don't have the right to communicate with me. It's a privilege. And there are certain parts that are true, and most of it though is false. Communication is a right. You have the right to communicate with other people about anything that you want, especially in this wonderful country. We talk about freedom of speech. We can talk to each other about whatever we want, whether we agree or disagree is not the topic at hand. It's just the fact that we have the right to communicate with each other. Communication is not a reward system. However, when you're stonewalling somebody, that is a reward system. Communication is based on a reward system then instead of the natural right. So if you're married to someone or you're in a long-term committed or even a short-term committed relationship with someone and they treat communication as if it is a reward system and not a right, then that's when we have our major problem. So a lot of times especially earlier in my marriage, when I was a younger, immature man, I would use communication as a reward system. If my wife and I were talking and we were having a good mood, or some people refer to it as, in some cases, pillow talk, or if we're just having a good overall communication, we're sitting up and we're having coffee and everything is going well, I would talk to her about basically anything that she wanted. Now, I moved this even into my father's relationship, father son relationship, mother son relationships. I was like this in general, where anybody that I wanted to talk to at a period of time, it was a reward system. Basically, as long as they were saying the things that I liked, that I wanted to hear, they were allowed to communicate with me. The second that they disagreed with me, I would stonewall them. I would refuse to talk to them. These are actions. Stonewalling examples are like blocking you, refusing to respond to your questions, not your statements, but your questions, refusing to do anything that's not quid pro quo. Because emotional abuse is basically this for that. I want control, so therefore I will abuse you if that means that I can still have control. That's a form of emotional abuse. So in stonewalling, what ends up happening a lot of times, someone gets stonewalled, the opposite side then feels devalued, and they feel as though that their emotions don't matter and they should just stop talking to you even about the good things. So that's what happened earlier in my marriage and in my other relationships. When people disagreed with me, whether they really disagreed with me or not didn't really matter. What ended up happening was people didn't want to talk to me because they didn't want to get stonewalled when they didn't agree with me. So even the good things, I have 4 children now. And my children come to me and they talk to me about anything they want. But earlier in our relationship, earlier when I was a younger father, I remember times where my kids didn't want to just come and talk to me about anything they wanted, however they wanted, whenever they wanted, because they were afraid at some point in time, if they said something I didn't like, I would stonewall them. So stonewalling is not beneficial for you, the person, if you're stonewalling others, or beneficial for the other side, the person that's being stonewalled. You want to ensure that there's an open flow of communication. And lower in these videos below, we're going to go over different versions of stonewalling and how to deal with them specifically. So again, my name is Aaron Dade with Kingdom Blueprint, and I will talk to you guys soon. God bless.